Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so what's in my head right now is a bunch of stuff that I've done homework on. I finally sat down and dedicated an entire day yesterday to doing homework on the draft prospects. At least a handful of them. I didn't get a chance to get to every damn body, but I if I'm not mistaken, I probably watched footage on about 14 people yesterday, about 14 prospects. So I say that's like 10% of what it is that you probably really want to do if you want to study for both rounds. But I got some of the key names out and made myself familiar with these players. So if anything, I just feel a lot better that I at least have some understanding of what the gist of this draft looks like right now, or the class looks like rather. And you know, it's a size heavy draft. Not too much shooting, as we mentioned. There are some players on this board that are pretty good shooters, but I think what you're going to see most of early on is just a plethora of bigs. And this is what I was saying for the last several years. I was telling you guys this maybe 6 years ago. Like the shift from us watching small ball to where we're headed is imminent through the drafts that are going on over the last couple years, and this one probably solidifies that even more than the last three drafts. You're going to find so many 7-footers, so many big body dudes that are going to occupy the paint. Only a few of them really don't. Only a few of them really can stretch the floor. So it's going to be interesting to see if the base of this draft class, I mean, of course, there's stars at the top of the draft class. That's undeniable. They got some stars at the top of this thing, unlike last year, who you could argue didn't have any stars in it. This year's class has at least 3 for certain. I think there's 3 stars in this draft. But what you're going to find is less utility toolsy, as they like to call them, long-armed wings, 3-guy, 4-guy wing guys. You're not going to see as many of those that are solidified. They have them in the draft, but you have a lot of questions about these dudes. But what you are going to find is your 6'10", 7'3" wingspan dude, 7'1", 7'2" guy. You're going to find them dudes all up and down this draft. They got a bunch of them dudes. And then some of them I haven't done homework on, but the first person I did homework on was Thomas Sorber. Thomas Sorber out of Georgetown. Christmas Day baby. He was born on Christmas Day. So I call him Georgetown Sorber. Coming off a foot injury of some sorts, which is probably going to kill his draft stock a little bit. But he's built like Mark Williams, the guy that we tried to make the trade for, Laker fans. He's like 7'2", 7'7" wingspan, something crazy like that. Smart basketball player. Not a whole lot of gifts. Not the greatest rebounder, surprisingly enough. But a real strong source of rim protection. And somebody you can get the ball to for easy buckets. He can make passes and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen so much footage on so many people, obviously. I forget some of the attributes that these people have. But I walked away feeling like Sorber's going to be a very good backup center. I don't know if I have him as a starter. He's going to project to be a starter early, but I think he'll average out to being behind a guy that's going to be really good, and he's going to provide a great deal of rim protection. Probably in a role like Mitchell Robinson is in. I think he could be like Mitchell Robinson, something like that. I don't think he has the offensive base that really projects to be somebody who's going to put up a lot of points or nothing like that. But he is going to probably project to be a better rebounder just off the strength of tips and things like that he's going to be able to do. He has the ability to project to be a guy who can hit a 3 here and there. He's not deficient back there, you know what I mean? He's not a shooter. He's not somebody you want to say is a stretch 5. But if you leave him back there and dare him, he'll occasionally hit the shot. And I think that's what you want to see from your big in this era. So I thought Sorber was smart. He's a smart player. He can make plays. He's a connective piece. I think he's pretty intelligent. That's what I took from him. Not the fastest guy, kind of bulky, you know what I mean? Not really moving all that fluidly. But very tall and very long arm and very much able to affect the basketball floor positively on both sides. So I thought he was pretty solid. I'd probably take him in the late teens, early 20s in this draft. He's not bad. Now, the person I just found myself really, really enamored with is always a player that you find in each draft that becomes your guy. And though I have so much homework still left to do, I think I found my guy early on. And his name is Drake Powell. I did homework on him about an hour ago. And I hadn't seen none of his stuff last night. But all the people I looked at, he wasn't one of them. But I kept hearing about a guy who did fantastic in the combine. So I figured, okay, let me dedicate about 25 minutes this morning while I'm eating breakfast to doing homework on Drake Powell. And Drake Powell is probably my favorite player in this draft. Period. Like, of course, you got, like I said, the stars. I haven't even done any homework on Cooper Flagg. I just like last year, when it comes down to the first overall prospect, I think that's like the last guy I need to do homework on, the last guy I want to hear any commentary on. He's a foregone conclusion going to Dallas, and he's already a superstar. So, and I already seen him play a couple times, so I kind of know what he can do. I will watch footage on him later, but I think he's the least important player to do homework on because there's absolutely no way Dallas passes on him at number one. But I did watch homework on the top guys after him, just about everybody after that, and a few guys in the 20 range. But Drake Powell is somebody that, now that I've done homework on that many players, I think Drake Powell is probably a dude where he's probably going to go in the late lottery or the early 20s. And in 3 years from now, when you redraft, you said he should have went in the top 5. That's who Drake Powell is, in my opinion. They say that he has a little bit of a hitch in his three-point shot, which is what ultimately is supposed to hold him back. But the shot keeps falling and falling and falling. All the highlights I saw, he just kept hitting that corner three. And the hitch ain't that bad. He pulls it down a little further than he should. You might want to tweak it, but I don't even know it'll be overly necessary. This is a guy who is your quintessential dark-skinned dude that can track everybody all over the floor. He's one of them dudes. He reminds me of a better version of Leonard Miller. Better version of Leonard Miller. Leonard Miller is the type of player who's yet to get his opportunity. He plays in Minnesota right now, but he's so energetic defensively, physical. And what this guy provides is rim protection at the wing spot. Now, I didn't see how tall he was or how long he was. It's hard to tell. I don't think the video that I was watching actually gave us the measurements on this particular player. So I'm unclear on what his position is. He's a wing, though. And in a draft that's kind of scarce for wings, he is one of them. And he has a 42-inch vertical. He's excellent sliding his feet from side to side. He can stretch the floor rather consistently, even though the shot is allegedly has a hitch in it. It ain't like Lonzo needing fix type, shot. It falls, man. I don't know what the percentages was on that thing, but he didn't miss it much. I'll put it like that. He's a catch and shoot guy. I mean, you get him the ball in the corner, he can catch and shoot. He can jump out of the gym. It's very explosive. And on the defensive end, he hounds you to death. So I mean, like, those are the type of things. And when you talk about long arms, fast feet, good hips that can move side to side, you're talking about a player that can really help you on both sides of the floor. You talk about needing two-way wings in basketball. This is a quintessential two-way ring. And what I really liked about Drake Powell is he projects to have an extremely high motor. You don't have to wake him up to play basketball. And so in the presence of guys like, think about a guy like Tayshaun Prince back in the day with the Detroit Pistons. I think about a guy like, even though Tayshaun was very long, extraordinarily long and wiry, but the way that he played defensively on one side, the other end, catch and shoot, can dunk the ball in transition, help you with pace because he is well conditioned. Like, this is your quintessential 3-and-D guy with explosiveness. He can pass some. He makes good decisions. He's intelligent. His handle could be worked on, but it's formidable. It's about average. It can be worked on. You don't need him to be a playmaker creating for himself. He's not a guy who's going to be doing all types of in and out moves and then pull up off the dribble stuff. Nah, he's a bit more limited in that regard. But some of the other things that you really need a guy to be able to do, when in the comparisons that they were talking about, they mentioned Peyton Watson because of the shot blocking prowess. I think he's a little more wingy than Peyton Watson. I look at Peyton Watson more of as a 4, kind of plays more of a big style. This guy, to me, plays a little more of a wing style. But I get it the comparison in the sense that they have some of the same similar strengths and weaknesses, and you saw a ton of highlights of Drake Powell blocking shots from the weak side. Like, he's a weak side ruler, man. This dude is going to block a lot of shots when you don't see him coming. And I just think that he's, to me, has the base of a winner. When you talk about players that help you on both sides of the floor, you talk about guys that don't have to be told to play hard. You talk about guys that are going to stay in well condition. You talk about guys that are going to compete on both sides of the floor, pick you up from, you know, from the full court and run all the way down there with you. You know, in the emergence of a guy like Aaron Naismith. Talk about guys like KCP. You know, we talk about all types of players that play defense, but you worry about some of these dudes because they can't hit a shot. He don't have that problem. You can get into him in the corner, he gonna splash, splash, splash. Remind me of Bruce Bowen with athleticism and explosiveness. And that 42-inch vertical means he can catch lobs with his length as well, because he's long and toolsy, as they say. Man, listen to me when I tell you this. There are gonna be some people that are gonna say because he has a hitch in his shot, or because he can't shot create, that he shouldn't go high in the draft. But I'm here to tell you, there are people in this draft. There are people that people like in this draft. I did homework on a couple of dudes in this draft that I know Drake Powell, if he faces them, he's going to beat them. I'm just telling you right now. And I say this with a lot of confidence. I tend to have confidence in certain players. Some guys have to grow on me. I've had guys in the past that I did homework on that I couldn't stand, that I ended up really liking. This has happened every year, at least once a year now. You know, 2 years ago, it was Keontae George. I ain't like Keontae George in the draft. After he got drafted, I was a big fan of him. Now I think he's going to be really good. Last year, it was that center that the Portland Trailblazers picked up. I didn't like him when I first started doing homework. I thought he was clunky. I didn't see it. By the time the end of the draft came around, I was a believer that he could be one of the best interior defensive players in the league. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a monster. We mentioned him a few days ago. He's going to be really good. But there are guys in this league at times where you be like, yo, I know he's going to be good. That's how I felt about a couple players. I felt that way about Clay Capella. I felt that way about, what's another one that I picked that I knew was going to be damn good? J-Dub. First 3 minutes of highlights of J-Dub, I knew he was going to be exactly what we saw him be yesterday. Literally. I call him Baby Magic Johnson. Who else did I have high belief in that panned out? Scotty Barnes. Certain Scotty Barnes is going to be as good as he is right now. In fact, I thought he'd be even better than he is. This is another one for me. Drake Powell is a certainty. He's an absolute certainty for me. The only thing to keep Drake Powell from being a really good player is injuries, just like anybody else. Other than that, I don't see him being a part of anything less than a culture-changing, two-way player. So if you have a team that has no defense, your defense is trash, you have no perimeter defense, you need to get that player on your team. You need to get him on your team right now while his value is fair. If you can trade up, get a lottery pick to get that player, you get him. If you have motor issues, if your team is a team that, you know, they're kind of soft, you can't seem to get guys to play hard, you need to go get that dude. Go get him. If you ever trusted BDF44 on anything I've ever said about the draft or anything I've ever said about basketball, you trust me when I tell you, Drake Powell can be a game changer for a team without defense. And if you let him go to a team like OKC that already has that, or a team like Indy that already has that, you're not going to ever beat those teams, man. You go to Minnesota, you're never going to beat those teams, man. Because as soon as he gets on the floor, he's going to continue whatever the superstar has been doing. That's the type of piece this is, man. So I am super high on Drake Powell. I'm not confused. I'm not taking him over Dylan Harper. I'm not taking him over Cooper Flagg. Different levels, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a fool. I do believe this is a starter or a high-level bench role player. 6th man, 7th man, high level though. You know, I think he's going to be a problem though. I tell you, he's a winner. He's a winner. All of the different things that you need in your wing, especially with the explosiveness. I could live with him not having to be able to jump at all with the way that he tracks people back and forth. But he's going to be able to get easy buckets off the strength of his lift. He gonna be able to block shots off the strength of his length and lift. So it's like, yo, I know the base of somebody who could far exceed expectations, and this person can far exceed expectations. Far exceed. And so I would tell any scouts that follow me, they are much better scouts than me. I'm just a guy watching videos, highlights, and scout videos. There are people who know the nuances of this player. Maybe there's some things. But as far as I can tell, each and every aspect of basketball that is absolutely necessary for a wing, he can provide. He's not selfish. He can hit a catch and shoot shot. He has pretty much a mid-range game. He's very explosive. On the defensive end, he tracks people around as quickly and as fast as anybody in this draft, as far as I could tell by the eye test. There's no weaknesses that are substantial with this young player from that wing spot. The length is there. The speed is there. The explosiveness is there. The motor is there. The ability to rebound is there. The ability to pass is there. Like, he don't have too many weaknesses. And so in a world where Aaron Naismith is becoming a household name overnight, I think Drake Powell could be better than Aaron Naismith in a lot of ways. I think he can be better than him. I really do. I think he can be better than Aaron Naismith. And so that's my point of view. We'll see what it turns out to be. I've been wrong many times. You know, when it comes to this type of thing, there's still a lot of homework I need to do on a lot of players. But the eye test tells me, yo, that dude should go in the lottery. He should be a top 12, top 13 guy in this draft. And some of these people like a lot in this draft, I have a lot more questions about what they're going to bring to the table than I feel about Drake Powell. So that's what I want people to know early. I'm a believer in Drake Powell, and if the Lakers could find a way to get this player, he'd be a game changer for us, because Lord knows we need a wing. Now, do I think we can get him? I don't think anybody's giving up any lottery picks to the Lakers without giving up something they don't want to give up. But when you talk about who you want next to Luka the Don, who could play that 2 spot, 3 spot, 4 spot potentially, and guard a bunch of stuff, and help on the defensive end so that we can actually play him and Austin Reeves together, give me Drake Powell right now. He'll make some of that come together a lot more so than it does right now. You need that piece. You know, as much as I like Max Christie, I think Drake Powell projects to be better than Max Christie. I think he projects to be better than Max. I'm telling y'all right now. So this is the type of piece I'm like, yo, man, yo. Hear me when I say this. And his stock is rising because he did such a fantastic job in the combine, which ain't surprising because he's a physical dude with athleticism. He has that going for him, so he probably does test well. But it wasn't the combine footage or any of that I watched. It was game footage. And I'm telling you, this dude is an absolute problem. It will not shock me at all if he's a top 5 player in this draft class when it's all said and done. That will not surprise me in the slightest. So that's the first thing I want to get out the way. The player that enamored me the most so far, based on what his expectations are for him, is Drake Powell. Another player I think really wowed me, which is not a surprise at all, but I was just enamored with what he did out there, was Dylan Harper, the number 2 overall draft prospect. He's legit, man. He is legit. That boy got some spin moves and some ambidextrous layup creativity and quick reaction timing to whatever the defense is doing type stuff. He has a next level game, man. He way better than his dad. And his dad is Ron Harper, NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls, NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. In fact, the first real point guard in a championship situation that I was able to watch. No disrespect, of course, to the great Nick Van Exel, with whom I was literally one of my favorite players. But I'm talking about the Laker starting point guard for a championship situation in the year 2000, when, ironically enough, the Indiana Pacers, who were about to go back to the finals, were defeated by my squad. Ron Harper was the starting point guard for that team. Yeah, his son is better than him, dude. And Ron Harper was a monster with the Clippers, with Cleveland before he got to Chicago and was like a role-playing starter. He was an all-star level player. But his son is way better than him. I ain't gonna say it's the distance between Dale Curry and Steph Curry, but it is close. It's close. This dude is a leading guy, man. San Antonio is definitely getting a superstar level player with this player. And I think there's a substantial difference in the value in terms of what the player's worth of him and the third guys. I think it's a vast difference. It's Cooper Flagg in a world of his own, Dylan Harper in a world of his own, and then other people behind him. That's how I look at this draft, man. And I think it's very clear that you're a damn fool if you pass on Dylan Harper at 2. I really believe that. So I don't think San Antonio's going to trade the pick anymore unless they could get Giannis. And I think if Giannis is on the table, they may try to do that deal without giving up Dylan Harper. Put it like this. Based on the highlights that I saw of Dylan Harper and the footage that I saw, if I got to get rid of a guard, he ain't going to be the one I get rid of. I'll tell you that. Now, when we saw the San Antonio Spurs get the 2nd overall pick, the first thought I thought was they're going to trade that, try to get Giannis. This is the fix to help them get Giannis. Now that I've seen Dylan Harper play, I'm going to be moving other people before I move him. I'll move De'Aaron Fox before I move him. I'll move Stephon Castle before I move him. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm taking Dylan Harper over both of those people. Now, granted, De'Aaron Fox is a better player. I'm thinking from a standpoint of you want such a substantial discount on the production. That's why I would take Dylan Harper over De'Aaron Fox right now. It's not because I think De'Aaron Fox is not a better player. De'Aaron Fox is a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and a solidified all-star in this league, but he's on a very huge contract. And so for my money, I don't really love De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio anyway, especially in a log jam. We saw what that looked like last year. He didn't fare well in that. I don't think the fit is that great with him to begin with. I'd probably move his contract to try to max for Giannis and then let Dylan Harper kind of just take the reins as the starting point guard in that situation. That's what I do. But yeah, these are things that I've been thinking about. I'm not moving Dylan Harper. No way. Not if I'm San Antonio. It's not happening. I'm not doing that. I'm keeping him and I'm moving somebody else. Because I like Stephon Castle, but Stephon Castle, I think Dylan Harper may be a better player than him too, to be honest. They do different things and they can play together though, so that's not really relevant to say. They can definitely play together. But I'm probably moving De'Aaron Fox, man. I want my backcourt to be inexpensive because I got Wemby, who's going to break records with his contract. And I don't want to be in the situation that Boston's in, where I'm going to have to break that thing up after 3 years because I ain't going to be able to pay everybody. I don't need De'Aaron Fox on that team. I know De'Aaron Fox wanted to go to San Antonio, but I'm moving him for diversified stuff. I just don't need him. Like, I hate to be that guy. And there are a lot of teams who need De'Aaron Fox. Don't get it twisted. I'm high on De'Aaron Fox, but just not in that situation. Not based on all these guard, lottery, rookie of the year dudes they keep picking up. It's like, he's in a log jam, and he doesn't look good in log jams. He didn't look good in a log jam in San Antonio, in Sacramento, when they had Halliburton and off night, and he ain't gonna look good now in this situation with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle. And although people think that those guys can play together, they literally all want to be point guards. Stephon Castle told people he wanted to be a point guard when he first got there. I wouldn't allow him to play point guard in this situation. But you don't want him in a log jam, find himself unhappy in San Antonio. You want Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper happy in San Antonio. Move De'Aaron Fox. This is what I would tell San Antonio. Move him. Move him. Don't even go down that path. You saw how they looked the second half of the season. He looked terrible in San Antonio. Move him, dude. Move him. So that's what I would tell them. I would get that contract off their books. It ain't necessary. So, like, that's what it is I wanted to say. Dylan Harper is going to be a star, man. He is excellent. He's fast. And I think he's going to be a tremendous fluid scorer and passer. His defense is pretty strong too. So I really like this player a lot. And I think most people do. Okay, Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey, I watch highlights on as well. 3rd overall potential draft pick, kind of polarizing because a lot of people don't believe in Ace Bailey. I saw a mock draft this morning that had Ace Bailey falling all the way to 8. I don't think you overthink this Ace Bailey thing. I think you take him. I think you take him early. I don't mind as Philadelphia passes on him because I do think it's going to take some time for him to be able to help them. And I don't know that he can help them right away. They may need to move that pick to try to get a more solidified piece that can help them with the timeline that they're ultimately stuck to. And not only that, but I think that he's probably going to be somebody who, that third overall pick, based on his polarizing space in it, I don't know that I love him being there at the third overall pick based on the value of what a pick can be before it's drafted. He's automatically, in theory, going to lose value as soon as he's drafted because so many people think that he can slip. So do you not move the pick? I don't know that I reach for anybody behind him necessarily. Some of them names behind him I don't like more than him. Now VJ Edgecombe I like a lot, but I don't know that I like him that much in Philly because he's a smaller guy and they already have issues with size. So you probably want to take Ace Bailey, or you probably want somebody who's not as valuable as Ace Bailey, who's a bigger player, who's going to provide you a little bit of insurance for other players on that Philly team that potentially could be out the way. Maybe a guy like Joel Embiid. I don't know what Joel's future looks like. But, they got some centers back there in the 5, 6, 7, 8 range that I think you could feel really good about starting if Joel goes down for the season again, or if he's stuck to his contract, at least you have a real center in place. Because that's the problem they had last year, is they were running non-centers at the position. This is a draft where you can really solidify that position. I don't know, they shouldn't trade the third overall pick for a couple Brooklyn picks, right? And then draft your center. And even have more young players. You can draft another big body player, because what Philly needs is youth and size. So do they, if Ace Bailey turns to a superstar 3 years from now, obviously we're angry for even considering all of this. But based on Philadelphia's needs and based on Philadelphia's kind of stuck to the fact that they're stuck to these contracts, they're probably not going to be able to get rid of some of these contracts even if they want to. You probably just want to give them players that can help them win and overall boost the youth and the size of their roster. And so for me, I'd rather be in Brooklyn's situation with like 3 first-round picks than to have the third overall pick based on their needs and the player that ultimately they would likely be expected to take at that third spot in this draft. Ace Bailey is just not the greatest fit for Philly's circumstances. Now, I like Ace in a rebuilding situation with no expectations, where everybody's really young. I love him in Washington, maybe Utah. Rebuilding situations, you know what I mean? Another reason why the Ace Bailey situation is a bit perplexing in regards to maybe you should just take him if you're Philly, is because he is the wing player that ultimately provides them some size. He's a taller guy. So it's not like VJ Edgecombe, who's a little shorter, and you're adding him to a bunch of short people. Ace is the guy that has the length and the height that makes you feel better. And so that's really what it is for me. I wonder if he's the right guy for them, but since they have so many other needs, particularly a need to just get overall younger, if it wouldn't make more sense for them to just swap with Brooklyn, who could likely also be one of those teams that could do good things with Ace Bailey. You know what I mean? They have the rebuilding situation to allow Ace to become who he's going to become. If it doesn't work out the first year, they can sit him and still expect to lose, continue tanking. That's a better overall situation for a player that probably ain't going to help you right away. And so I think that if I'm Brooklyn and I'm Philly, I'm probably discussing trading the third overall pick for a couple firsts. They have late first rounders in the 20s. They also got, I think, 14 or something like that. I want all that stuff if I'm Philly, because then I can pick and plug. I can probably draft Drake Powell. I could probably draft Sorber. I could probably draft another big. And then not only am I influencing my roster that's full of old short guys with youth, I'm also picking and plugging bigs, for which I ultimately need if I'm Philly. So it's a risk, because if you pass on Ace Bailey and he turns into a star, now you look like a damn fool. But if you pick up Ace Bailey and he can't help you right away, or if you pick up Ace Bailey and now you got this in-between timeline that you can't get rid of, and you're still short as a unit because of it, because he's not helping you, so he's not even out there. It's just, I just think Philadelphia, for all of what it is that they got going on, would do better with multiple firsts than the third overall pick. the 3rd overall pick if it were a more solidified piece that could really help them. If it were an archetype that was more suited for what it is they ultimately can both use, I would be comfortable with that. But a project, a skinny project at that, who kind of has some issues creating for himself, I think the antithesis to this thought, though, is if I'm thinking of people that I want to mentor Ace Bailey, Paul George is probably one of those people, you know what I mean? Paul George would be a great mentor for Ace Bailey, kind of teach him some things that help him play his position at a higher level. And so for that reason, I might feel great about Ace Bailey if I'm Philly. But there are other reasons why I just think, yo, we're stuck in the timeline. We're trying to win. This kid is going to be a nice shot maker, but if I could turn him into the 4 or 5 different pieces, some energy pieces, some size and height, that's probably more of a need for me if I'm Philly. That's more of a need for me than a high-level, star-level rookie that's going to be off in the timeline. Now, his timeline obviously matches McCain. So if you're thinking about your rebuild and you see that you can move on from these contracts that are of old people and move forward with McCain, Maxey, and Bailey, then maybe that's okay. But do I love that trio going forward? Defensively, I have wonders about that trio. To say, is this what I'm opting out of my superstars to build with? And how long is it going to be? And what's the ceiling of this? And how many more tank years do I have to go with this? It's just, it seems easier to me to just move 3 for multiple first, grab the pieces that ultimately fit all of what it is I need, because I think you'll be able to do that if you're Philly. Brooklyn would love to get the 3rd overall pick. Ace Bailey's perfect for Brooklyn in their rebuild. It's just, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. I would do that. So that's what I want to say about Ace Bailey. Nice shot maker, but there are some question marks about his development early on, to say that he's a guy who has a high ceiling but a very low floor in the short term. Very low floor in the short term. And so that's just not the right piece for Philly, in my opinion. Another piece I want to talk about is VJ Edgecombe. We mentioned his name already. I like this player a lot. He's a shorter guy, but he plays big, man. And he's a really good defensive player. Explosive as all hell. I'm talking about like super explosive. This is a jump out of the gym type. Another one of those dunk contest winner type dudes. You got one there in Charlotte if they take him. If I'm not mistaken, his shot was a little iffy. Not the greatest shot maker, but you just love what he does on the defensive end. Maybe a higher level version of this of Drake Powell, the guy that I like, Drake Powell. I think you expect VJ Edgecombe to probably be a higher level version of that. Just blocking shots, stealing the ball, chasing people around, high athleticism, high motor, good rebounder. VJ Edgecombe is a getter. He's a keeper for sure. I don't know that I take him at 3 only because he's a little short for Philly. But like most of these other teams that need guys that can jump in out of the gym, explosive finishers, who can really track people around and defend like a madman, VJ Edgecombe looked like a really, really good prospect. I really am a fan of VJ Edgecombe, and I think he's going to fit the DNA of what Charlotte's trying to build, putting defensive players around LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. I see that they've been looking for this kind of like 6'8" archetype, a defensive guy. They've been adding those pieces here and there with Grant Williams and Josh Okogie, and I think they added a few other players as well that fit that mold. This is going to be another player that fits the defensive mold that should help the non-defensive players of the Charlotte Hornets overall have that piece that can just jump out the gym, track people around, be a part of good defensive rotations. Think about Miles Bridges, another big guy like that who plays defense, explosive guy. He's just going to add to the overall highlights of a Charlotte Hornets team that's going to be able to jump out of the gym and shoot like the wind. So I like that ad. I don't think they should overthink that. I'd take him. That guy I did homework on, that I think this is when it becomes a little tricky for me, man, because I'm enamored with certain stuff that these guys can do, right? Like, for example, Trey Johnson, big-time shot maker. Big-time shot maker. And if you love the flashy nature of scoring, and you love the Jamal Crawford type dudes, this is somebody who can do those type of things. I like Trey Johnson. Problem is, Trey Johnson doesn't do a lot of other things. He can pass some, so that's good. He's a connective piece. But defensively, he's not really a plus. He's not particularly... I think he is a big guy. I'm not mistaken. I think he's probably about 6'6". So there's nice length there, nice arm length. But he's not particularly explosive. Doesn't really finish at the rim very much, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was one of his areas of improvement, is his finishing around the basket. But he's such a really talented jump shooter. And so I think that a lot of people like him because of how flashy his game is. And in the 2K world, you just want a bunch of guys that stretch the floor world that could just hit from the mid-range, hit from the three, you know, dice people up and just continue to be consistent scoring the ball. But for me, it's like, okay, if that's all you can do, I kind of view you the same way as people look at those guys who are tools who can't shoot. It's like you have some real severe weaknesses. You don't really come together to make my team better on the defensive end. People are hunting you. On the offensive end, if your shot's cold, you're jacking a lot of shots. So pieces like that, to me, are not overly desirable for me. And I think he's at this point, people have him in like the top 8 range. For his shot making, if you are enamored, you think basketball is about shot making, then you probably think he's as high as 7, 6. Like, he's really good. I've heard him go 5 to Utah. But I legitimately think it's a massive mistake overvaluing that strength, ignoring those weaknesses that he has. I'm just not a big fan of that, man. I'm not a big fan of that. And so I love Trey Johnson's shot making. Consistent shot making. When it's time to run the score up, he can run the score up. And I think he's going to be a hell of a piece. Probably one of them nice 6-man instant scorers. But those guys are not overly valuable in my mind. I don't value those people as much as I value the Drake Powells and VJ Edgecombs. I just don't. And in a draft full of bigs with teams that need size at times, I can't see myself, and after doing homework on Trey Johnson, taking Trey Johnson over half the people I did homework on. He probably slips all the way to like 15 for me, based on what it is I think really matters in basketball versus just him having that one thing that he does really, really well. I'm just not a huge fan of that. I think he's cool, but he's not what should be taken in this draft as high as he's projected to go. So I like Trey Johnson, love to have him on my team, but I understand that if he's not scoring, maybe he's not really doing anything at all. That's not winning ball, man. That's not winning ball. It's not. I know better. You can have a guy go for 25 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 1 steal, and a lot of people gonna think he balled out. But I promise you, he didn't contribute to a lot. And that's my concern with Trey Johnson. I think he's gonna be one of them type dudes. Just score, maybe some assists off of the scoring, but he's getting cooked on the other end. He's not contributing, no rebounding. That's my concern with Trey Johnson. So to the eye test, for the casual, this is a baller. For those of us who understand how many components go into basketball, you know what I'm saying? Put it like this. There are guys who really make that work. Like a guy like Jamal Murray makes that work. Jamal Murray is like the highest version of that I can think of right now. If he can turn into Jamal Murray, then all bets off. But I don't know that. I don't know. You know what I mean? But if you're not playing at that level, I can't see myself taking you that high in this draft. Not with all the stuff that's out there that I'm learning about that ultimately I'm probably going to need if I'm most of these teams. So that's my thing with Trey Johnson. I just think he's valued a little too high for me right now. A little too high based on the homework that I've done, and I'm sure there's more homework to do. There's another guy that comes to mind, man, but I can't think of his freaking name, man. That's the problem. I've been considering this for the last 5 minutes. What the heck is this dude's name? Jeremiah Fears. He's another one, just like that in a different way, though. Jeremiah Fears is a high-level street balling type of ball handler. Kyrie Irving, Darius Garland, Rafer Alston. This dude can dribble with the best of them. Jamal Crawford. His handle's the best I've seen in about 2 or 3 years. Fantastic ball handler. Here's the problem. He doesn't actually finish well. So, like, you think about a guy like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie can finish, Kyrie can shoot, and the dribble's in place. Jeremiah can't really finish and can't really shoot. You see what I'm saying? So the stuff that makes the dribble come alive in players like this is the efficiency at the rim, either explosiveness, for which he doesn't really have, or the ability to be a high-level shot maker like Trey Johnson. Okay? And so if you're a dribble maniac, and you could break people down, make people look foolish and fall all over the floor, but it's one of them situations where you're doing they call it, the analogy's like a $1 million move with a $5 finish. He's like that for me. He gonna do $1 million moves, ooh, depth move, ooh, wow the crowd. And he's gonna break the shot. Wow the crowd, he's gonna miss the layup. And so I have huge concerns about Jeremiah Fears in that same vein as Trey Johnson, in the sense that these are players where if you're a 2K fan and you don't really know what makes basketball come together and you just like what it is that you see that entertains you, these are two very entertaining basketball players. They're going to entertain you. They're going to have the crowd involved. They're going to be fun to watch. Problem is, I don't know that they contribute much to winning. I think what we're learning as we watch these series that are going on right now is that you need the guys that can hit shots, play defense, not get... You don't want to have to deal with people you have to hide on the defensive end. You don't want to deal with people who can't win loose battles to loose balls. You don't want to deal with people who are so short that they can't rebound the ball. You don't want to deal, these are the type of things that get you sat down in these series that we're watching right now. If you don't have the tools, that's your ass. What are you doing, bro? If you don't have the tools, you're in trouble. And so that's really what it comes down to. I feel that Jeremiah Fears is going to be an entertaining piece, but I'm concerned that he's not going to be a winning piece. That's my concern. And when it really comes down to it, you're just not going to be able to put him on the floor in a lot of winning situations. Until he develops a consistent finish, until he becomes a much better defensive player, until he's able to take his ball handling and make it so much of a strength that it creates playmaking opportunities and things like that. I think he's a really good passer from what I understand, so that may be where he helps. Good passer, but like, I just picture in my mind, dribble, 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 brick. Break down, break down, break down, brick. Drive at the rim, miss the three-point play. He gets to the line, maybe hits 1 or 2 free throws. I don't know how good of a free throw shooter he is. For all I know, he's a great free throw shooter, but he's not going to get the three-point play until he gets the reps. So year 4, year 5, he turns into what he's supposed to do. The first couple years, you're going to be frustrated because he's going to be missing layups. You're going to be frustrated because he's going to be missing threes, and he's going to be very aggressive because he's going to always be over dribbling and stuff like that. That's my concern about Jeremiah Fears. I think that if you have a Washington type situation, Utah type situation, Brooklyn type situation, where you can wait and develop a guy and deal with his mistakes and give him the minutes necessary and the rope necessary to be his best, he could be in a good situation. But if you need him to help you win, you Philadelphia, something like that, do not take Jeremiah Fears, bro. Do not. He ain't gonna help you right away. It's gonna take some time. And we've seen guys make good jumps when they're drafted, working with teams that first summer, and then come in training camp and look pretty good, come in their rookie season and have a good year. And I think that's what we saw with Keontae George. But my concern with Fears is just that he's going to enamor people so much with his extraordinary dribbling ability that they're going to confuse that with the ability to help you win. And I don't know that he can help you win. I don't know that he's in a position to where what he projects is going to be something that's going to be able to stay on the floor in tight situations with defensive two-way teams that are really killing it out there, hitting shots and all. I don't know if he has that type of skill set. I just think he's an extraordinary dribbler of the ball, which is fun, extremely fun. But it's not the thing that's going to change the world for you. It's not the thing that's going to change the world for you. And so that's really my point of view. I just think that those two players, they're projected to be lottery picks, because one of them can really hit shots and probably nothing else for the most part, and the other one can really dribble the ball. It's probably going to be fun to watch, but probably nothing else for the most part, at least for the first 2 years. Now, when they develop their skills, become better at the other intangibles of the game, then these guys can really max out and look great. But they're high-level projects, just like Ace Bailey, high-level projects. So if you're not ready to draft a guy that you expect to be star and then have him bust early, don't take those people. That's what I'm thinking. Don't take those people, because they're not going to help you right away. You know, after doing this draft thing for the last couple of years, that's one of the things I've kind of honed in on, is an understanding that, yo, some of these guys are really talented, but you can't expect them to help you right away. And this might be the #1 draft for that, because most of these guys are one and dones. You don't have a whole lot of 4-year guys in this draft. Most of these guys, especially in the high lottery, they're going to need to put on strength. They're going to need to grow up. They're going to need to mature. They're going to need to work on their game a lot. They're going to need to go through some heartache and losing and make mistakes and do stupid stuff before they become who they're going to become. The majority of players in this draft, in the lottery specifically, cannot help you right away. This draft specifically, not every draft, but this one, I would not expect most of these players to help any team right away. Not most of these guys, because they're projects, man. Especially the ones that people are projecting to go high. It's like, yo, I have so many more questions about these guys than I do some of the guys behind them who are not as good as them. Because some of the guys that are behind them who are not as good as them are likely bigger people, you know, higher motors maybe, toolsier, that kind of thing, with longer arms and stuff, that is going to affect the NBA basketball floor just in general in a way that is undeniable, even if they're not that great in a lot of cases. And so that's what I can take. Like, I just feel that's why I say Philly should probably trade their pick for multiple Brooklyn picks that are further back in the draft, because you get more solidified, surefire bets, in my opinion. So there are other players I want to talk to you guys about. I'm already where I need to be. This video could have went on for 3 hours based on all the homework I've been doing. That's not even half of the players I've been doing homework on. But I can tell y'all, man, this is going to be an exciting draft, but you just got to be patient with these players. And I anticipate some of these teams, they're not going to be all that patient. That's what I wonder about. San Antonio ain't going to be all that patient, although they probably good. But like, some of these teams are ready to win. Dallas, there's no patience needed there. You know, I would imagine Cooper Flagg's going to come in, as I said, a top 50 player out the gate. But like, some of these teams, Philadelphia, like, they get the wrong player, they're going to be miserable. You know? But just the same, you got the Utah, Washington, Brooklyn. Those are teams that probably are fitting for this draft. They have picks they're going to be happy with. No matter who they take, they'll probably be happy. But there's some guys to continue to talk about, man. Derek Queen is somebody that I like a lot. Carter Bryant is somebody I also like a lot in this draft. Who else? It's a couple of them, man. What's the homie's name? There's a passer, Russian passer. I can't think of his name right now, but he's Igor Dimin. That's his name. Igor Dimin looks pretty interesting to me. If you need a connective piece, you can make passes and stuff like that. I know that that's a big thing right now. He's somebody who can help you a lot if you need somebody to kind of just make your team come together, make people better. He's going to definitely be able to do that from like the 3 spot. So I like this player a lot. It's a few of them, man. That's why I'm telling y'all, just pay attention to this draft. Look at this draft as a project draft, not as a draft for helping you right away, but as a draft for if you have the right coaching staff, the right development programs. This is a draft 3 years from now. You could pick up a star and like halfway, you know, in the 15th pick overall could be a star. But it's going to be incumbent upon these organizations to be patient with these guys, to have plans for these guys, to have good environments for these young players. And if all of that comes together properly, you're gonna have some guys, man. You're gonna have some guys that are gonna really help you. So we'll continue this conversation. This is a very important conversation to me because there's so much in my head in regards to this draft that I've already done homework on that needs to be talked about, and so much more to do homework on from here. So we're underway though, man, as I promised y'all. BDF 44, thank y'all for watching. I'm out.